Great evening, great afternoon, great morning, all depends on where you are. Welcome to yet another episode of the Sonya Dungee podcast celebrating Black history all month long. We are in the midst of winding down, being that today is the last day of the month. And so we are really going to bring it and get it in for the last few episodes, celebrating Black history all month long, where we will be celebrating African American history and culture and recognizing the struggles and the resilience while highlighting the innovations and achievements made. My name is Sonya Dungee, and I am still hosting, and it is an honor and a privilege to be doing so. In doing the research, I have been so enlightened. There's so much of Black history that we just don't know about, and I recommend that you all do your own research. Um, there's no way in the 28 days I could have bring them all to you, but we always have next year as well, so I will still continue to be doing research as well. So this afternoon, I highlight Clifford Leopold Alexander Jr. He was born on September 21st, 1933, to Clifford and Elizabeth Alexander in Harlem, New York City, New York. Edith, his mother, she was a community leader who was an advisor on civil rights to several mayors. And that, keep in mind, will kind of explain later why Alexander became who he was. Alexander attended the private ethical culture and Fieldston School. He studied government at Harvard College, where he graduated in 1955. He was the first African American to be elected president of its student council. He subsequently studied at Yale Law School. After graduating in 1958, he enlisted in the New York National Guard and served briefly with the 369th Field Artillery Battalion at Fort Dix in New Jersey. After being admitted to the bar, Alexander served as an assistant district attorney for New York County. He then became executive director of the Manhattan Hamilton Grange Neighborhood Conservation. It's a project before serving as program and executive director of Harlem Youth Opportunities. In 1963, he served as a foreign affairs officer on the National Security Council staff, having been recommended to John F. Kennedy. He became the administration unofficial advisor on race, with Kennedy asking him to observe the March on Washington. So for those of you who aren't sure of what the March on Washington was all about, it was known as March on Washington Jobs and Freedom, or known as Great March on Washington, and it was held in Washington, D.C. on August 28th, 1963. August 28th, 1963. The purpose was to advocate for the civil and economic rights of African Americans. Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and many, many more gave speeches. But the most notable speech came from the final speaker, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., where he delivered his historic I Have a Dream speech. Alexander later served as Deputy Special Assistant to Lyndon B. Johnson, Associate Special Counsel and Deputy Special Counsel on the White House staff. Impressive. Throughout Johnson's presidency, Alexander continued to be the go-between between the African American community, notably after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Alexander was appointed as the chairman of the U.S. Equal Opportunity, known as the EEOC, in 1967. During his tenure, he elevated the agency to play a significant role in fighting workplace discrimination. He resigned from the agency in 1969 after President Richard Nixon demoted him from chairman to commissioner. Alexander practiced law in the Washington firm of Arnold Porter between 1969 and 1975. He eventually became the first Black partner and successfully pressed to the firm to employ graduates from Howard Law School. He also hosted a TV talk show, Cliff Alexander, Black on White, from 1972 to 1976. In 1975, he taught as a professor of law at Howard and Georgetown University Law Center. Alexander returned to public service as Secretary of the Army under the Carter administration, serving from 1977 to 1981. He was the first African American appointed to this cabinet position. It was during this time he concentrated upon improving the all-volunteer Army, stressing programs to enhance professionalism and emphasizing the awards of contracts to minority businesses to fulfill the federal commitment to encourage diversity. Yes. He also sought to eliminate the barriers for women and racial minorities being promoted to the rank of general. One of the beneficiaries of Alexander's efforts was Colin Powell, who finished second in his class at the Army Command and General Staff College. In 1981, after his tenure as Secretary of the Army ended, Alexander, along with his wife Adele, formed the consulting firm of Alexander and Associates. He also was a member of the Board of Governors of the American Stock Exchange. Also served as a political and campaign advisor to Barack Obama in 2008. Ironically, Alexander's daughter, Elizabeth Alexander, wrote and recited the poem Praise Song for the Day at the first inauguration of Barack Obama. Alexander was outspoken in his opposition to the don't ask, don't tell policy of the military, signed a statement in November of 2008 calling for his repeal so that gays could serve openly. George Robert Alexander died on July 3rd, 2022, at the age of 88. God bless him. That concludes our highlights this afternoon, episode 133, highlighting Clifford Leopold Alexander Jr. Thank you for joining, as always, and a reminder once again, if you haven't already, the time is now. Make sure you sign up for the Boss Masterclass that will be presented on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will, at the end of the recording, give the information that is needed, providing that you comment unstuck. And if you comment unstuck, I will send you the registration link as well as a special gift for early registration. Until I pop up again, which I will be several times again for today, in conclusion of celebrating Black History all month long. Be safe, stay well, and God bless you all. Remember, be always destined for greatness, your very best. Until later on, bye for now.